Yo, yo, what's good, fam? Today, I want to talk about my fitness and nutrition journey and how it has changed over the years. There have been a lot of changes in the way my relationship with food and training has grown, and I'm going to take it from the top. So, I grew up playing sports, super into basketball, tennis, and golf, and surfing as a kid. I was a well rounded athlete and I loved everything, and I carried that into college. I loved playing basketball most of all. I started to get into weight training and lifting weights when I was in college. And my family is an athletic family. We love to do the things in life that are free and that anybody can do. And these kind of things give you the most satisfaction and fulfillment and joy. And these kind of things come from, I think, doing what's uncomfortable. And that's stuff like jumping in the cold ocean water to go for a swim or surf, or going on a run and playing sports like tennis. And, it's the stuff that you don't always want to do, but then once you finish, you feel so much better for. It's the physical things, the things you gotta earn in life, sweating it out, getting the endorphins going. And this is how I was raised. I love training and exercise more than anything. It's such a big part of my life, and it's something that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. And my dad and my mom and my stepmom, they're all in their late 60s and still working out every day. And, um, you know, exercise is such an important part of their lives. And that's just something that's always been instilled in me. And I think it mostly comes from my dad because obviously father and son have a pretty strong relationship, and sports are often a big part of that. And my dad was a professional tennis player back in the day, and now he's a professional pickleball player, which is pretty wild. And he still has that hunger in him. Somehow he still's got this fire that he wants to always be better because he just loves being in the best shape of his life, or the best shape that he can be in at this point in his life. And he's still in pretty damn good shape. He's taught me a lot. And I think, like I was saying, it's just to be in love with the lifestyle, an athletic lifestyle, doing it for the love of the lifestyle, which is something that I'm going to discuss later. But I love this concept of training and playing sports and everything for the love of the lifestyle, not because you're trying to get to a certain milestone, but because it's who you are. You know, if I don't work out for a couple days, I feel out of whack, out of sorts. And it doesn't matter where I am. It could be at home, no matter where I call home. I was going to the gym in Japan. I was going to I always find a gym wherever I'm living. Um, or I'm running through the city if I'm traveling. Like I was just in Istanbul a couple of months ago, and there was a hotel in the gym. That's actually part of the reason, and a big part of the reason why I chose this hotel. And it wasn't like a fancy hotel or anything. It was pretty dang good price, but they had like in the cellar just this like old school gym. Like not a lot at all, but just like a few things, some weights, and that's all I need. Just a dedicated space to grind it out. And it was just like it was hilarious. Like going down there in the morning, and we were like I was with my friends and we'd go out drinking and stuff. We're in Istanbul. But then I'm in there in the morning, like by myself in literally a cellar, no windows, just like grinding it out. And that's just who I am. It's what I love. It's funny. It makes, when you're traveling, especially if you get a workout in the morning, it just makes the whole day and the experience that much better. And I've just found a way no matter where I went, where I go. If I wasn't like in the gym, I'd go on a run, and there's usually like a calisthenics park no matter the city you're in. And I love that. I love running to the park, doing some pull-ups, some dips, just seeing the locals and how they train and what they do. And the European, way of training is is always funny to see, just like the different styles and everything. And so that was fun. Anyways, when I was 21, I suffered an injury and my life forever changed. I was down in San Diego on a trip with my family, and I was getting a workout in, and I was obsessed back then. I just graduated from college. I was really hard on myself, and this is going to be a theme that I talk about in this video. But I was doing it more for like punishment than just sheer enjoyment. I couldn't take a day off. I couldn't go easy if I was traveling or something. Like, I'm very proud of how far I've come. Like, it sounds like I'm just like killing myself in the gym, even if I'm in Istanbul or something. But like, I do enough and I would know when enough is enough, which is something that is pretty new to me. It's something that I'm learning. And, you know, like in college, I think I'd punish myself. If I partied a lot the night before, I'd get up at like 6 and go to the gym still and just like try to grind it out for punishment. Like it wasn't a positive thing. It wasn't for the right reasons. And, I'm going to dive into this more. But so yeah, like in my early 20s, I was just very hard on myself. And I was working out and my back went out, on this trip. I was doing like lunges or something. And I thought, fuck, like I've never experienced that before, like the back, called a flare up, where you feel something and it feels like, it felt like there was, and then because I experienced this for the next 7 years continually, it felt like there was a dam in my back, like a river in my back, lower back, and there was a dam kind of holding it together, like barely holding the pieces together. And then every so often, the dam would break, and it would just be searing pain in my back, and my whole body would get stiff, and I could barely walk. I could barely stand up straight, and it was just miserable. So that's the first time it happened, and I didn't really know what it was, but I drove back home to LA that day. It was terrible. Um, but I didn't know what else to do, and that was the beginning of quite the journey of chronic pain. So it was the hardest thing that I've gone through in my life, for sure. I had sports taken away from me, and essentially, I had such a vital part of my life taken away from me. I couldn't do the thing that I loved so much, and I truly could not believe it. And I tried everything to physically to heal. So, like, my back went out, and then maybe it got a little bit better in the first few weeks or something, like a normal injury, but then the pain just never let up. There was never like a feeling of like, oh wow, I feel like I'm out of pain. And it's honestly kind of hard for me to remember what it was like in the early stages because it would go up and down so much. But I think it was like, this must just be, you know, the pain is still there, but I guess I could start getting back to working out and stuff. I could work through it. But then it just never went away. And I tried everything to physically to heal. I obviously took a lot of time to rest and did like nothing but walking for months on end. But then when that didn't actually change anything, I was like, all right, I guess I could go back to exercise because, like, what's the difference? Um, I did countless physical therapy sessions, chiropractors. I did the whole Rolf method, which is like deep tissue massage, not massage, deep tissue body work, known just to be the most like, excruciating, body work you could do. Didn't help. Did acupuncture, got MRIs, and MRIs showed like they showed herniated discs, a bulging disc, but what I came to realize once, 2 years ago, when I came to the understanding that this is a mind body situation. These are mind body symptoms and not physical. I realized and I learned how MRIs and bulging discs, they usually, like, we all have bulging discs and herniated discs. It's very natural. It's like gray hairs for the spine, yet when we have unexplainable back pain, we often attribute the back pain to the bulging discs because it has to be the solution, right? It's like, oh, that's what's causing the pain. But many of us who don't have back pain just don't get the MRIs because there's no need. But we have bulging discs as well. And people who have back pain also don't have bulging discs. That's enough on that. But so nothing worked. And, I tried everything and the pain was spreading throughout my body. I would get flare ups every like 3 months or so. And I was just so confused and so distraught. And it was brutal because, you know, I couldn't play sports. I couldn't play basketball. I couldn't run. I couldn't really lift weights without being in some degree of pain. I didn't have any tears. I didn't have any broken bones or ligaments. There was no real explanation. So I just had to keep trying. But I was truly a shell of myself. And then in Japan, where I was living for 2.5 years, I came back about a year ago. I went through, it was, I thought that I could run away from the pain and maybe things would change when I was over there, but it only got worse. And then towards the end of my time there, I broke down and I had like 4 flare-ups within a month and I was just crippled. And I realized that that period I was just super stressed out, and that's when I discovered that it was not about my body. I was in this group where I met a woman and who like helped me see that this stuff is called TMS, and that stands for tension myositis syndrome. And if you're interested in all this stuff, I would highly suggest looking into Dr. John Sarno. He's the pioneer in the mind body field. You can listen to his whole book, Healing Back Pain, on YouTube, and you can watch his lectures, which I think are even more helpful. They're kind of kooky and old school, like from the 90s or something, but so like it almost seems like it's like a sketch, like a comedy sketch, or but it's real. And man, he's changed probably millions of lives, but it's not something that people really know about. Um, so I started my mind body journey, and I went all in to just believing that this is not physical, that it's emotional pain. And, I discovered that it was never about my body. The initial injury was a trigger, but it was years and years of stored up pain, and it was just waiting for the time to strike. You could also call it neuroplastic pain because it's the brain creating the pain in the body. And, our brain has great plasticity, which means it could change, and that is how you get out of pain. You unlearn the things that you've learned from being in pain, which is difficult, but I did it, you know? I did it. And it's insane. And the brain, I think, creates the pain in the body to distract us from emotions and from the things that are going on inside. Unresolved trauma, childhood pain, most of all. And I realized that I was having mind body symptoms my whole life. As a little kid, I would get stomach aches and bad leg pain all the time. And in high school, I'd have to wear knee braces and back braces, like I was the bionic boy when I was playing lacrosse and basketball. But I have no knee pain now. I have no back pain now. So I think I was going through a lot as a kid. And, you know, as I was going through this back pain journey, I just kind of forgot about all this because I couldn't believe that it was not physical. I thought, my back hurt, so it had to be a physical problem, but no. I had these mind body symptoms my entire life, and I think it came from repressing emotions. As a little kid, I was trying a lot to be the peacemaker in my house, and me and my brother would fight a lot. He's 2.5 years older, so we'd naturally get into a lot of scuffles, and we just fight. And I think it caused my nervous system to be in a constant state of fight or flight. My parents were divorced, and I'd go back and forth from their houses um, continually. So it was just a lot of moving around and a lot of uncertainty. We had love in my house, that's for sure. Coming from all angles. My parents, my step parents, even my brother. We love each other a lot, but we're brothers. It happens. Brothers fight. But still, for a little kid, it was a lot of uncertainty. And kids really just need stability. And that obviously does not happen as often as it should. But that's what kids need. Even if the environment isn't stable, they need to feel like things are stable, that they don't have to worry about the parent or the situation. That is often not what happens. Kids feel like they have to take responsibility for the parents. And, I didn't really feel that way. I don't think. Maybe I did because, it wasn't easy for my parents for sure. That's something that was a huge realization for me is like, wow, my parents are just people. They are just figuring it out as well. And I could help them. But as a little kid, maybe I was taking on some of that responsibility or, feeling like maybe I didn't want to add any more stress to the house. So like I would stuff my emotions and that's not the best situation. Um and this all this stuff is kind of learning about it because as I've gone through this journey to learn about my childhood and I started therapy in Japan, which has completely changed my life. It was like just meant to be. I met this therapist who was from California actually, but lived in Tokyo, and so we just had a great connection and I finally felt like I was seen and like I had a somebody in my corner on the other side of the world, and we're still very close and I still have sessions with him and he's still in Tokyo, and it just feels so cool and completely life-changing. Um, and I've learned a lot, like, from him and then from my guy, Alain de Botton, who is just the GOAT on all things psychology and therapy and trauma and whatnot and relationships, and he's the man, modern philosopher, if you will, but very practical, and I just love his work. He has, um he's created what's called the School of Life. It's literally like a school, but it's free for anybody, and it's on YouTube, many short videos and longer videos. He's got a ton of books out, including one, The School of Life, which is incredible. And then most recently, A Therapeutic Journey, which I highly recommend. And as I've been having relationships and trying to understand myself in the relationships and my relationships with parents and whatnot, um, I've just kind of been trying to understand like how this stuff has turned into chronic pain and, how it's made me who I am today. And it's been an epic journey of discovery, you know? Um, yeah, when we were kids, me and my brother, he being the oldest, he would fight with my parents more. And I think that was actually healthier than what I was doing because kids are supposed to fight with their parents. It happens. Kids rebel. And, but I would kind of retreat into myself. And I remember I would often just like lock the door and just go and hide and just be scared and so angry. And I had nothing to do. And I couldn't leave my room. And it was just like, yeah, just energy getting stored in me. Um, yeah, I was just repressing emotions. And that turned into chronic pain later on in my body. And this really is not just like speculation. I'm healed. That sounds like, you know, the prophet or something, but and it's not like healed or not healed. It's a daily practice. That's a better way of thinking about it. Because the sensations still come, but I'm out of the pain. I'm out of the, just the daily low grade pain. And a great way to think about it from one of my mind body coaches is that over the you're not healed when you stop having symptoms. You're healed, quote unquote, when you stop having fear. And I don't have the fear anymore. I don't fear the symptoms. I'm doing everything that I want to do physically, and I feel amazing. It's unbelievable. And in essence, what you have to do to heal from mind body symptoms, which could be anything. The brain can create anything in the body. It could be IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. We have like stomach pain all the time. It could be back pain, knee pain, headaches, just random stuff like fibromyalgia is like a big one in the mind body world, where you just have pain all over your body. Like it could be anything. Shoulder pain is a very common one. Got to ask, like, what is the underlying emotion in this? What is actually underneath this pain that I think is physical? So in essence, all you have to do is the opposite of everything. I'll say you know, do the opposite of everything that I was doing in my 20s, which was all based around fear. I'd be so afraid that my body was broken. So I was scared that I couldn't do anything. I was scared that I would never find the answers and that it would only get worse, because I would hear it all the time. You're too young for back pain. And I was just worried and fearful. And that created a constant pain loop in my body. So to turn this around, you have to retrain your brain and unlearn this stuff by creating safety in your body whenever you want to just give into that fear. Like a sensation comes up. Say I'm working out and I start to feel a twinge in my back. I'm not doing anything abnormal, nothing crazy. But, you know, before I'd be like, oh shit, like what is this? Did I just injure myself? Is this gonna get worse? La la la. What's happening? But now I take a deep breath. I know and I'm totally bought into the fact that it's not physical, that I'm healthy and strong and I don't have pain in my body. So I tell my brain, I know what's happening here. I know I'm safe. I put my hand on my heart because that tells the brain that you're getting a hug. It actually turns on the same parts of the brain that turn on when you receive a hug. So put your hand on your heart, smile too. That tells your brain that you're safe. And say, you're fine. I know you're fine, Vinny. Let's relax. Relax into what you're feeling. Don't try to push it away. Relax into it. And I continue. I don't stop what I'm doing. I don't change what I'm doing. I just continue and create safety. I might throw on an audio message that I've saved from one of my mind body coaches, Jim Prusak, the Pain PT on YouTube. He's the man. I think I'm actually doing a success story with him this week, hopefully, where I'll share my story on his channel. And he sends out a daily audio. And I have a handful of them saved. They're like meditations for me to listen to at the gym or to help me sleep, like just about surrender and relaxing into the emotion. It's awesome. So I continue. I show the brain that I'm safe and that there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to fear. And that the brain, tell it, you don't have to send me these false pain signals. It's okay. I know you're trying to protect me, but I don't need it. It's just emotion. Sensations are emotion, becoming manifest in the body physically. But all emotions are okay. We have to feel the emotions so that they pass. Instead of fighting them or repressing them or pushing them away, we surrender and we say, come on in. We let it in. Surrender and let the emotion in. That's the opposite of what we want to do. You feel something physically, you want to push it, you want to fight it, but that's not how you change it. That tells the brain that there's danger here, that you're not safe, that it has to continue sending pain signals. It's like it's raising the alarm instead of being, oh, it's a false alarm. Don't need the pain signal. So you surrender, that's step number one, and then you embrace it. So let it in and embrace it. Come on in, do what you got to do. I don't give a fuck. Let's go. I know what you're doing. I'm safe. I'm strong. I don't care. You can do whatever you want to do. I know what you are. And like a river passing through you, that's how it goes. It's got to work its way through for it to leave. If you try to dam it up by pushing it away, that only creates more tension, And yeah, you know, a lot of the time, like 90% of the time, I'm out of pain right now. And I don't know where the number 90 comes from. It could be 100. I rarely feel sensations anymore. Um, and it's unbelievable to me. And there was hardly a day that went by. I could probably count the number of times on my hand when I was didn't feel any sensations during those 7 years of chronic pain. I just had like a daily dull ache in my back. And like on a pain scale of 1 to 10, it was a 3 or a 4 at all times. My mid back, my low back, and just saying that out loud, it's like a dull ache. It wasn't so much a dull ache in my back, but it was like I had an ache in my soul. There was just this energy that was there my entire life and I never gave a voice to. I didn't express, and it was just sitting in me until, it became chronic pain. But then I started working through my past, journaling a lot, talking about it in therapy, just giving a voice to little Vinny, and my life forever changed. I'm still very much on the journey, and I will be for the rest of my life because what I'm using to heal my body is applicable to everything in life. Surrendering and embracing the discomfort, relaxing the nervous system, creating safety in the body. How can that ever be the wrong thing to do, no matter what's going on in life? You could always take a deep breath and put your hand on your heart and say, it's okay. We, we can handle this. Let it in, you know? Let it in. And I think a big part of that negative energy that I was holding on to in my 20s had to do with my relationship with food. Drinking a Soleil. Sorry for the pause. Um, you know, I think I would eat my emotions a lot. I was going through stuff with family or whatever, just being a kid. I just wanted to stuff the emotions with carbs and pizza and pasta and just kind of run train. And I did eat a lot. And I wasn't like a fat kid, but, I was thicker and I had my childhood chubbiness. And I was kind of mopey and just kind of sad. And, you know, I look back and I love that kid. He was a legend. Had a super high voice. It was pretty funny. But I got made fun of, mostly by my brother and his friends. But, I was doing my best just to get through it. And what I learned from being a kid in my 20s and stuff has made me who I am today. And I don't wish anything was different on a single thing. I just want to let little Vinny know that I'm here for him because we got to be there, for that little kid inside of us who still needs to be held, who still just needs to hear that things are going to be okay. And sometimes we can be the only one who can give that to our little self because we're still just little kids, expected to be so much more, And I had a great life. It was an awesome childhood. I had so much fun with my mom and my stepmom and my dad and, the step dads that came into my life. It wasn't always easy, but all the time it was very fun. All the nannies, we learned how to skateboard and play basketball, and it's a lot of cool people. It was a unique childhood. It was epic. That's made me who I am. I had best friends who are still my best friends today. I had a lot of love. And yeah, it was quite unique. And then I think just in my 20s, like I wanted to be super lean, super fit. And I had this idea in my head that like if I didn't eat perfectly, if I didn't train super hard, that I'd be fat. And for some reason, I just like could not wrap my head around that. Maybe because of my childhood stuff. And even with the back pain, I would just kill myself. It was not good. I was under eating, starving myself pretty much, going through periods when I would have, take fast for 2 or 3 days at a time. Not, because I was for spiritual reasons, but because I was just trying to be skinny, not even lean. And then one day a woman at work told me, she's like, "Vinny, you look really skinny." And it was a little jarring. That was the end of that, more or less, the fasting and whatnot. But then I still realized I had to make a change, but then I was still really hard on myself and I would limit myself. The paleo diet was very big and it was kind of big in LA and stuff. And I bought into that. So I was just eating vegetables and protein, like never really any carbs or anything, except for on the weekends, when I would have carbs, it would just be like a license to binge. So I'd restrict myself for the most part. And then I would binge when the time came, you know, and I would binge and then I would fast the next day. So it was like restricting, binge, fast. And that in itself is an eating disorder. And that was much of my 20s. And I'm just grateful, that I'm not hard on or I don't regret going through that stuff. Like it's what I was dealing with at the time. It's what I knew at the time, but I'm just done living that way. This is a journey of a lifetime. And I think I'm definitely realizing now that the pressure I was putting on myself, the stress I had around food was giving me back pain. That was definitely a factor in it. Eating is a huge part of our lives. And when I couldn't eat what I wanted because I was putting so much pressure on myself to look a certain way, it was definitely causing pain in me. And I love food. I love food in different cultures and traveling and not holding back when I travel. But I was just so hard on myself most of the time. And I definitely had an unhealthy relationship with food. But, things are changing. I'm on the other side of the chronic pain. And that truly is bewildering to say. But I'm grateful. And I say thank you to the pain. So grateful that I went through that because now I could hopefully help people. And it made me more empathetic and loving, I think, of myself and of others. And made me realize we're all going through something. And I had to do some serious soul searching in those years. Still do, but just to get through pain like that I couldn't understand, it was not easy. And now, I am working out as hard as I can. I'm training hard because I do want to see how fit and how strong I could get because, I couldn't do it before. And I had it taken away from me. And I do think I'm doing it for the right reasons now. I think my relationship with my body and stuff, it's definitely not perfect, you know? It's definitely not perfect. I'm by no means like, you know, body image stuff. It's hard to just change. You want to look a certain way, and now that it's, I won't say easier to look a certain way, but maybe more prevalent that we just see everybody in perfect shape but we don't know what people are on, and it's like, man, the culture is not easy. Anyways, I want to see how fit I could get. I want to do it for the right reasons too. I want to do it naturally and healthfully because I'm an athlete. I am competitive. I love sports. And, having that taken away from me has given me a newfound appreciation for it. Just to be able to play basketball again, to be able to swim and surf and run. I missed running so much. And when I was going through those years of chronic pain, if I was going through something emotionally, like all I wanted to do was just run through the emotion, get away from it, exert some physical energy, but I couldn't. and I was trapped in this cage, and it was brutal. I think that actually turned me to writing in a big way because writing became like the only release for me. It's an emotional release, and I could like write for 5 minutes and let the emotion just pour out of me without trying to think. Just moving the pen and it turned into like scratching the paper with the pen and this kind of eerie image of just circles on the page and scribbles, but you know, that's what needed to come out of me. And then I burned the paper, cleanse it. I remember one time when I was living with my mom and my brother during COVID, which is pretty wild in itself. And we made it through that one. That was fun. But I was just kind of pissed off about something and I just wanted to fucking run. And I went to the beach and I'm just like, fuck it. I sprinted and it felt great. Tears are flying. I'm running. And then I was like crippled. I was just broken after, just lying on the floor. And that's what my life was like. It sucked so much. So now I'm just appreciative that I can do this stuff. I'm sprinting on the beach, running a lot. I love it. My body feels great. So let's get to the nutrition and fitness philosophy. I love exercise. I love working out. I have this inner fire, and if I could, I'd go to the gym every day, but I know I got to rest, and that's honestly hard for me sometimes. But I love it. I just love being in the gym. The endorphins are pumping, dopamine, and that's honestly in the gym is when I have some of my most passionate ideas, and I write them down on my phone. I turn into poems and stories. Like especially when I was going through chronic pain stuff, I'd get tears in my eyes at the gym all the time. It's emotional for me. It's my sanctuary. No matter what's going on in life, you got your health and you can get to the gym. You're gonna make it through. That is my philosophy. I'm 30 years old, and our 30s are our peak physical years, and I want to see what I'm made of. Now that I've gone through this thing, it's like my life has opened up, and I want to push myself. I'm running a lot, and I'm doing a lot of weight training. I love getting stronger, and I've realized that with how much I'm lifting, I have not been eating enough. And this goes back to the eating disorders of my 20s, of limiting myself because I thought the carbs were the devil. And like I couldn't even eat grains. I started to in Japan, but I would even limit myself there. I was just eating salads and vegetables and meat, and I would splurge on the weekends and stuff, but pretty much like super clean. Fruit and like yogurt too, but no carbs pretty much. Like as in grains and wheat. But now I'm changing things. My buddy Greg, you might know from the Dare to Dream podcast, we're going through this together where his buddy came to town, Dr. Dan, who's a legend, and he's very into nutrition and fitness, and he's jacked. He's like, dude, you're not eating enough at all. Like, you got to be eating like 3 times as much to get bigger if you want, like stronger. And Greg told me that, and it's kind of just opened up the door for me that, like, yeah, dude, we really, for under eating, under fueling. And I think we share that thing where we both have that fear of getting fat because he says he was a chubby kid too, and he has that like inner fear of turning into that again. And it's just this perfectionist thing that is not good. We're running away from that when we got to really show our inner child that we're going to love them no matter what. Who cares if you look 10 pounds heavier? You know, it is what it is. But we're embarking on this journey of eating more. And it just feels like a lot of beautiful stuff is happening in my life right now. It's like this melody, the symphony of connections is all just like popping off as I'm in this pretty surreal chapter back home in LA before I go move to New York in 1 week. Super jazzed. But I've been back in my gym, Malibu Fitness, where I've gone throughout my whole life. But it's never been like this. I'm like homies with everybody in there and just asking people about their training and their philosophies and such cool people, you know? That's my favorite place in the world. I feel like I'm creating community and connection, and it's just the best. And with how much I'm working out and like talking to people, other people go through this too of realizing that they're not eating enough. And I'm like connecting with people through this revelation. We all have these body image things, it's like very common. And if you're training hard, like you got to fuel. So, like I thought before that, if I was just eating enough protein, that was enough. Like the rule of thumb is to eat a gram of protein per pound of body weight a day. So like I'm 175, eating 175 grams of protein a day. I thought if I was doing that I was like getting bigger and stronger, but the body needs carbs and fat to grow. I'm not a nutritionist. Don't really know what I'm talking about. But, this is my own philosophy here and it's what I'm experimenting with and learning about. And I've learned a lot from this guy, Nick Bare, who's on YouTube. He's a legend, Austin, and he's, a fitness guy. And he's the face of this movement called hybrid training, which is lifting heavy, running far. And it's kind of a well-rounded fitness approach. Instead of like just doing bodybuilding stuff, it's having, great cardiovascular system and being getting really fast. And I like it. That's the lifestyle I like, is a blend of both, you know? And I just love cardio. Like I don't want to just be in the gym. I love being outside, running in the mountains, on the beach, on the track, through a city. I love to run. I love to swim. Said it all already. Um, so I want to be an all-around athlete. So I've been really following this hybrid training approach. And he talks about his nutrition approach is to eat for performance, not aesthetics. And my whole life has been eating for aesthetics because I want to look a certain way. But that's not the way to eat for performance. To eat for performance means you eat what you need to eat to be able to perform the way you need to perform in the gym, in your training, in your life. And then you'll get the aesthetics that you want because then you're properly fueled to train harder and recover better. And it's just a whole paradigm shift for me. Like, why am I training to look a certain way? Don't I want to feel and act a certain way? Isn't that the reason that I'm doing this? And then his next point, my favorite, do this for the love of the lifestyle, not to cross some finish line. And that just brings it all home. Train and eat for the love of the lifestyle, not to look a certain way, not to have abs, not to fucking cross some finish line. It's like, what's the point of this if it's not just for loving the lifestyle, the process of it? There's, where am I going with it? It's just a daily act of wanting to feel good. So, eat for performance, train for the love of the lifestyle. And I'm pretty much following his diet now. It's not so much a diet, but his nutrition, I don't know, program, I guess. Like before, I would intermittent fast in the morning, eat a little something, protein bar before the gym or something, but then like eat lunch after the gym and then dinner, and that was like it. And that was just not enough for how much activity I'm doing. You know, so I'm following Nick Bare's diet program, whatever. He has 4 eggs and sourdough toast in the morning at like 7 a.m. And then he has 8 ounces of ground meat and rice and like a salad or pickled vegetables. Then after his workout, he does overnight oats, berries, banana protein powder. Then dinner is like a well-balanced dinner, meat, veggies, carbs. That could be potatoes, sweet or normal, rice, pasta, whatever. It's not like a huge serving, it's like just solid dinner. And then after that, maybe later, an avocado and like some Greek yogurt and with some cacao nibs or coconut, well sweet. Because I love sweet, you know. I love sweet, especially salty sweet. Like a salted cookie. The ice cream's my favorite. And what I like about him too is like he's not tracking calories. He's not super obsessive. He does it intuitively. Like this one is what makes me feel good. And he has tracked it in the past and stuff just to have an understanding of what he needs. And you could use an app like MyFitnessPal, which I've used, to see how much you could like input if you want to gain a half pound of weight per week, if you want to lose weight, and you could input everything you're eating and it'll tell you if you're on track or not, just to get like an idea of what you're eating and what you need to stay where you are weight wise, to gain weight or to lose weight. It's pretty nifty. And so he says, like, if I go out with my wife, want to have a beer, want to have a burger, a pizza, he's got 2 kids, it's not fanatical, which I think is extremely important. He's also trains for Ironman and he does all the stuff, it is kind of fanatical, but I think his overall approach is pretty awesome and definitely sustainable. It's the love of the lifestyle. Because I want to hang out, enjoy my life with my friends. I don't want to be a slave to food anymore or a slave to any sort of training. We eat and we train to give us the best life overall, where we feel good, healthy, energetic, strong. And I don't want to fucking care so much anymore. And eating carbs makes you feel better in the gym for sure. Like I 100% feel a difference. I have energy throughout the day, you know. Nick Bear, he says that the fear of gaining too much holds people back. And that was me throughout my entire 20s. He says that underfueling is a big issue for a lot of people. And this was on a podcast he did with this chef, this awesome chef. I forget what it's called, but pretty recent. If you look up the Nick Bear podcast. And that was me and Greg probably training hard and underfueling and not seeing the results we wanted. And something that I'm trying to ask myself now is like, why? What does my relationship with food look like and why? I kind of have an idea of why, but I just want it to be more sustainable and just like balanced overall. So I don't want to renounce any food. I don't want anything to have control over me. If I want to just enjoy my life. And if I do binge, if I do go off the rails one time, if I am drinking, like who cares? I don't want to have to punish myself the next day and fast or self-flagellate. Like I'm done with that, you know? So it's interesting too. Like the first couple weeks that me and Greg were kind of doing this new philosophy, we were just like, I can eat anything. Let's go. I was having ice cream a few times a week. I was just like going ham. Not like insane, but I was having fun for sure because it was such a new thing for me. I'm like, maybe this is not sustainable either. I feel stronger, bigger, but like I'm just packing it in. And I do love salads and vegetables and feeling lighter, but also strong and dense. So it's a balance. And I think I'm finding that balance and things are kind of rounding out, you know? Still not eating a lot of sugar, but eating healthy carbs, healthy fats, good good stuff. Eating slower, having a better relationship, blessing my food and not feeling guilty for eating something, but if I'm going to eat something, eat it. Enjoy it. Don't feel guilty because you did it. That literally creates more stress in the body and makes it harder to break down the food. So, yeah, it's a lifestyle. It's a never ending journey. And, like it feels cool to be ripped and for people to be complimenting you, but it's never enough. I'll always want to look better. I always want to be bigger, in better shape, comparing myself to people, but enough, it's never enough. Looking good and feeling good, that is enough. As I am, as you are. The journey is enough. The love of the lifestyle, the fact that we can do this stuff, that should be enough. Just think about it, you know, people would kill to be where you are on your worst days. In fitness, in life. It's true. Gotta remind ourselves that, how good we got it. It's all gravy. Another day of health is all that matters. And that's what chronic pain taught me. Just a day out of pain is all I could ever have asked for. And now that's becoming my reality. And I'm just so grateful for it. You know? Another thing, if you're in the gym, train hard. Get in there and give it your all. Every step, every day can be another step, a progression, another step forward. I'm in there. I'm sweating hard. I'm not on Instagram or anything. I'm going for it. I'm pushing myself because I fucking love it. And there's so many people who can't push themselves anymore, who can't get in the gym. If I'm in there, I'm blessed. And I'm going to give it everything I got. You know, I still go out with my friends. I still drink alcohol when the time is right. I still like to party and create memorable experiences. Good, times that we're going to look back on and laugh about, even if I feel shitty the next day. Creating memories. I'm not just here to be a fitness junkie. I'm still 30. I imagine the drinking will become less throughout my life. I don't drink during the week. I don't like rules, but that's just generally I don't because I like feeling fresh. And anyways, living life. It's all just incorporating everything instead of these strict rules and have fun. You got one life. I love all aspects of life, traveling and enjoying food and people and having fun and training hard and just doing it, man. There's no room for shame or guilt. Got to be our own best friend in all this. I want to support others, support myself, build people up, build myself up. We're on this journey together, and it is a journey. It's not an answer. There's not a light switch that'll turn on and change everything. It's a journey. It's going to be ups and downs. It's a ride, an adventure, gift of life, and we're in it together. And this is an exciting time. This is an exciting time. So that's pretty much it for me. Much love, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. I just want to talk. Peace.